Welcome everyone to another fireside chat with Pacvue. I'm Nickeshia, a retail media director here at Pacvue, and I have the privilege of speaking with Brian Martinez of Channel Key, a full-service channel management marketplace agency with a proven track record of increasing sales for retail brands on Amazon and other digital marketplaces. Today, Brian will be talking about Prime Day levers and strategies for 2022. And so without further ado, let's get started. So Brian, it's no secret that e-commerce has surged during the pandemic. A report by McKinsey and Company found that online shopping experienced 10 years of growth during a single 3-month period. Based on this acceleration, what can brands expect during Prime Day 2022 in terms of performance?
Yeah, so really good question. Prime Day has historically been a major event. From 2019 to 2020, we saw 45% year-over-year growth for Prime Day. But last year, we saw that change. So it's fair to say the pandemic in 2020 influenced such a large growth. With some of the country kind of opening up last year, we saw sales only grew 10% year over year. But with that said, Prime Day is one of the largest shopping days of the season or of the entire year. So a 10% growth on one of the largest days of the year is still significant and still should be something that brands can expect to generate additional sales from, generate additional brand awareness from. With that said, there's some different challenges this year, and it's really kind of in 4 key areas that I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with. The big elephant in the room right now is inflation. Inflation is driving up the costs across the board, really, for consumers. So there's a big question mark around really how that's going to impact Prime Day this year and how consumers are going to react. There's also been labor shortages. So 63% of small businesses say they can't find the employees that they need, based on a recent survey of more than 2,400 small businesses through Network Alignable. So, being able to staff and have that opportunity to participate and keep up with the demand is a critical piece. Some other things that are going to be challenges this year are some of the stock shortages. So, brands can expect to see some key players who maybe in the past have participated in Prime Day may not participate in Prime Day. If you're reliant upon computer chips, for example, the supply chain has been really having a challenge with that. So those brands won't be able to participate in the way that maybe historically they have. So that could be an opportunity for a brand who does have good inventory position, who's not as impacted by that, to maybe stand out and fill that void. And then the last one is just simply logistics bottlenecks. The ability to get goods into the United States, to get them even from port to your facilities has been challenged and continues to get harder. And right now there's a 60% increase in the number of vessels currently on the Asia North American East Coast trade lane, based on sea intelligence. So, really across the board, we're seeing where supply chains getting impacted, costs are going up for consumers. So I anticipate a lot of the brands who maybe in the past have participated in Prime Day will not be participating in Prime Day. And then brands who maybe historically haven't, but have a good inventory position or have a proposition can actually stand out this year. So it'll be interesting to see.
Got it. So you mentioned logistics challenges that are currently causing shipping delays for manufacturers, suppliers, and retailers. So with such a high volume of traffic on Prime Day, what can brands do to prevent their own inventory struggles and make sure that they can fulfill orders?
So one of the best ways for brands on Prime Day specifically, because Prime Day does leverage needing deals to be Prime eligible. So what that means is that it means you have to be an FBA or utilizing seller fulfilled Prime, really to capitalize on the primary benefits of Prime Day. So for brands, it's getting your inventory into FBA on time. You know, Amazon fulfillment centers are always changing in how long it's taking to get checked in and get those goods to the final fulfillment center for that last mile delivery that they need. So utilizing FBA is number one, the key essential for that, especially any of the deals that you're running, coupons that you're running, you're going to need that FBA Prime badging. But with that said, you need to have a backup option. So, you know, you might not get all of your inventory in on time to get it into FBA. So utilizing FBM is a good safeguard. You know, consumers are going to be shipping for or shopping for 2-day Prime, but if they come across your product, you're still providing a deal or a discount that is enticing to that consumer. They may be okay waiting a couple days to get that item. So those are the two key things. You know, the reminder when it comes to FBM is that you do have to adhere to Amazon's shipping standards. So for any seller who is thinking about that, keep in mind what your lead time is, and then making sure that you're getting goods out and you're not canceling orders, getting goods out on time, that is.
Yeah. Those are all great pointers. You know, hopefully most sellers are putting these tips into action already. And if not, now they know.
Yes.
But one of the challenges of e-commerce marketplaces like Amazon is that shoppers can't physically inspect products the way they can in brick and mortar stores. Instead, they have only the content you as a seller provide. What are some of the most common content mistakes you see brands making that prevent them from generating meaningful sales on big sales events like Prime Day?
Very good question. And I like this topic in general. You know, on Amazon, I like to always say, you know, the consumer can't touch, look, feel, sniff the product. So if you're selling a luxury baby blanket, how do you convey that?
Right.
So I think, you know, some of the most common mistakes that we see, or the most common mistake I see, is not utilizing images properly. So whether that is you're not cropping the images to remove as much white space on all four sides. If you are not aware of this, if you do that trick, Amazon's going to expand your product image out. So if you have white on the edges of like white borders, so let's say there's maybe half an inch of excess space on that image, well, Amazon's still fitting that into the same box. So we find right away that by trimming those images out, it can expand that image, make it larger, make it stand out in search. That's one of the most common things that we see, as well as not utilizing all of the image slots. So consumers shop by images. If you shop on your mobile device, which now thanks to Amazon releasing mobile app data, we see well over 50% of consumers or sessions are happening on mobile devices. The first thing they see are images. So images is the number one. Creating titles that convey clearly what the item is number two that I would say. Not keyword stuffing. Filling in the right keywords is very important, and making sure you have those in the titles is very important, but you don't want to overstuff it to where the consumer gets confused in what they're buying. So keeping it as clear and concise as possible. Creating optimized bullet points that answer the questions consumers are asking down in the search is very important. So take a look at your customer questions and answers section. If they're asking a question, it's not clear enough within the listing, you should take a look at that. But then there's some other things that are just kind of more of the generals. A+ content. If you're not doing A+ content, you definitely should have A+ content. There's a 5% lift in conversions according to Amazon's data by having A+ content just on your product detail page. But focusing on reviews, anything that's within the reviews is important. If consumers are talking about it, celebrate it. If consumers are concerned about it, fix the problem with the product. Having videos. And then also one other thing that we do prior to Prime Day is we like to create custom landing pages or a page within the brand store that features all of the deals. So what that allows us to do is drive traffic directly into that brand store page. And now that consumer is being able to interact with all of the deals that we have available for the day. So there's plenty of other tips that you could be doing, but those are some of the cores.
Yeah, really all relevant, important things to do, regardless of your brand or your category, right?
Yes, definitely.
Especially now, because like over the past few years, Amazon has become a very crowded and competitive marketplace. The retail giant now has advertising business that is larger than YouTube, generating $31 billion a year revenue. During high volume sales events like Prime Day, it's become increasingly difficult for brands to stand out from large competitors with big advertising budgets. Based on your experience, what are some of the most effective promotions that smaller brands can use to drive traffic and conversions this Prime Day?
Perfect. I like the call out on smaller brands because this is always one of the, I guess, easiest ways for smaller brands to get maybe negative results on Prime Day. Lightning deals are always something that's pushed front and center, but for smaller brands, it may not make most sense. So what we recommend for brands who are up and coming, who maybe don't have a hero product, who maybe are just getting started, or you're not going to be able to create the best deal that's out there. Let's say you're selling headphones and you're not Bose, and Bose is going to be on deals because everybody knows Bose headphones goes on sale for Prime Day and Cyber 5. So what we recommend for those brands is really focusing on a great coupon strategy. Consumers are shopping by either looking at the deals section, which they're really going to be looking for the best deals that they can find, but also we still see a lot of search queries that happen on Prime Day. So that's telling you that consumers are doing the traditional search, browse, buy, inputting a query, browsing the results, and then ultimately leading to a purchase. And coupons are a great way to stand out. Coupons do get special badging on Prime Day. So you do see, oh, this is a Prime Day specific coupon. So it's not just like an everyday coupon. One other thing that we recommend is Prime exclusive discounts. So those don't require a cost to entry. They do show up on the deals page, but again, they also show up within the search results. So a lot of the things that we like to focus on for maybe smaller brands are going to be things that you don't have to pay up front. You don't have to commit to a large discount on. And that's what coupons and Prime exclusive deals allow you to do. The big one that a lot of people talk about, or historically has worked really well, but has become overcrowded, is lightning deals. So lightning deals is still a very good option. It drives, a 6-hour sale during Prime Day, gets one of the highest placements outside of deal of the days, or now top deals, if you're familiar with the new changing of terminology. But it's a crowded market. So you're generally paying $500. You're having to give a discount of 25% plus. That's being decided by Amazon. So in a lot of cases, the ROI for those deals isn't seen from what we find. Where it does work in our experiences is if you're a leading brand within the category. So for example, if you're a pet treat or a dog treat that is on page 1 of dog treats, and you know that your product does really well, you probably want to think about a lightning deal for that product. But if you are a premium blanket trying to compete against other blankets on Prime Day, you likely do not want to go after a lightning deal. Rather, you're going to want to focus more so on a coupon or something where consumers are going to be more geared for conversions. So
got it. So while we're on the topic of Amazon advertising, let's talk about how the platform is changing. From your perspective as agency executive, what is the most exciting or important change you see taking place within Amazon's advertising solutions?
Yeah, so the most exciting one for me has been Amazon's adoption of new targeting methods within sponsored display. So previously, a lot of what now is available in sponsored display, you would have to utilize Amazon DSP for. So their demand side platform, or programmatic advertising, if you're not familiar with it. And those came at costs generally of $20,000 plus a month with a 3-month commitment in spend. And for, a lot of brands out there, it's not necessarily something that you can easily sign off on. So there was a huge gap, in my opinion, in what advertisers were able to do between what was available in the ad console and what DSP provided. So Amazon over the last year has done a lot of great work in bringing a lot of the targeting options, a lot of the metrics that historically have lived within DSP back into sponsored display or into sponsored display. So, we were able to run essentially a campaign that historically we would have to run in DSP 100% through sponsored display over Q4 last year. And the results were great. So being able to have that and leverage that for advertisers who maybe don't have the budget, for me, is one of the biggest opportunities that I see coming out of Amazon ads. Because it's gonna make a lot of those ad targets, ad placements available to brands who historically would not have been able to do that. So, and it's helping differentiate why you should make the investment for DSP and why, that does make sense at that point. So that would be the one thing. The other thing, of course, is the ever-changing cost per clicks. If you've looked at Pacvue's Q1 2022 CPC report, you'd see that CPCs have increased 9.6% year over year. Looking at the Cyber 5 report by Pacvue, CPCs increased by 39.6% year over year for Cyber 5. These numbers are not going to go away. So keeping an eye on those, coming up with better strategies, focus more on your assortment. Those are going to be some of the keys that you've got to keep an eye on.
Got it. Yeah. I mean, that's the beauty of advertising, right? Never a dull moment.
Yes.
So every year as Prime Day comes to an end, we hear Amazon experts talk about something called the halo effect. Can you explain what exactly this phenomenon is, why it matters, and how sellers can leverage it to their advantage?
Yeah, so the halo effect is essentially a process where after the course of the event, brands will see a lift for a period of 7 to 14 days. It generally depends upon how successful your event was, how it was against the category as a whole, and how long that period's going to extend. So let's say that you run a lightning deal that absolutely crushes it, and you sell 10x the units that your competitors are doing. Your halo impact is likely going to be a little bit larger because the relevancy that you've shown, the traffic that you've shown, has kind of helped the Amazon algorithm understand consumers do want to buy your product. Consumers are interested in your product, and at the end of the day, Amazon wants to drive a conversion in the algorithm. So that's, it's conversion first. So, it's as simple as, if you have a great Prime Day, or even if you have a successful, doesn't necessarily have to be great, but if you see a lift on Prime Day, it's fair to say you're going to continue to see that lift for the next 1 to 2 weeks afterwards. So it's not just about Prime Day. It's about also capitalizing on those consumers who maybe didn't convert or who are still in aisle, and making sure that you're not just lifting off the gas right after Prime Day happens. Just some stats on that. Brands experience up to a 50% increase in sales after Prime Day. That's according to Adobe. So it's, it shows that according to Adobe's data, that consumers are still coming back and sales are still increasing. So don't just think about Prime Day, think about what you're going to do after Prime Day and how you're going to retarget those consumers. That's where sponsored display comes back into play. You can do remarketing based on views, based on purchases. So if you're selling, let's say, a camera, maybe you want to do a purchases remarketing campaign afterwards. If you have complementary lenses or accessories or things that consumer will still need to buy for that. Whereas if you're looking at views remarketing, you could go after, maybe they looked at a competitor's listing on Prime Day, but they didn't convert. Let's go ahead and hit them with an ad for us, because that consumer may convert. So different strategies that you can think about, but it doesn't just end at Prime Day.
Great. Thanks, Brian. So that's really about it. So thank you for your time today. Really great insights. Really appreciate your partnership over from Channel Key, and really excited to do this again soon.
Likewise. Thank you for having me on.